Vito for the John DeVito Show. It is Tuesday, and I got a front row seat today on the Long Island Ferry. I pulled in today. I'm getting on the 12 o'clock ferry, which will give me about an hour for this podcast. And this is the first time I've ever literally been brought right to the front of the ferry. So I'm sitting in my car right now, almost having like a Leonardo DiCaprio moment. Remember in Titanic? I'm the king of the world. That's kind of how I am right now in my vehicle. I've got my Ford Expedition, and I'm looking out at the ocean. And I'll tell you, it looks like it's going to be a little choppy today. So I see some white caps off in the distance. And off to the left, we are in New York. I see the beautiful smokestacks on the left. So I'm not sure what AOC or any of the squad members would think of those smokestacks off to the left. But I want to welcome everybody that's coming in. Michael, Eric, good to see you all. Thank you for sharing my show, Eric. And boy, breaking news today. I just happened to see, I get in my car, pulled onto the ferry, and I just saw that there's a live update that Joe Biden announced a ban on Russian oil imports, and that's going to be a powerful blow to Putin's war machine. And all I've got to say about that is it's about time. I mean, this is something that had to be done, and we're going to get into talking about the war in Ukraine again a little bit later in the show. I've got some time to talk today, so I'm going to talk about a few different things, but I am glad to see that Biden finally took action and is cutting off the money that we're sending to Russia on a daily basis by bringing in Russian oil. So hopefully this means we are going to increase some of the production that's coming out of the United States. This story just broke a couple of minutes ago. Some of you probably already know about this, but this is new for me. So that's great news. And again, for me, I would still love to see the United States basically impose a no-fly zone in Ukraine. Of course, people are concerned that that's going to lead to a world war. So that being said, we're going to get to all that stuff in a minute. Eric, if you could, give me a thumbs up and confirm that you can hear me okay. As you guys all know, I'm a lot more comfortable in my studio with my microphone in front of me. I'm kind of a Gen X/boomer. So when I'm on the phone and I've got the headpiece in, my AirPods, I'm not as comfortable doing this type of broadcast. So if someone can let me know, can you hear me? Does it sound okay? Let me know how everything is coming out on your end. And now I'm going to be crossing over the ocean on the way back to Connecticut. So hopefully the cell signal holds out and I don't enter the matrix too many times over the next hour. So anyway, now for all of you that are coming into the live and for all of you that are going to listen via download, today is a big day. And I know that we've got some women that do come in and do listen to my show. Today is International Women's Day. So believe it or not, today, International Women's Day. I see Maverick coming into the show. Welcome to the show, my friend. Good to see you. And, while I'm happy, don't get me wrong, I love women. I have a lot of respect for women. I've had some amazing women in my life, and we're going to get into some of those people very briefly. But how you doing, buddy? Everything good? Hopefully you're doing well. But I want to know, when are we going to have International Men's Day? That's just the question I have. It seems like there's a lot of things designed for women, and I think men deserve our day. Just good to see you, my friend. I'm in my car right now looking out at the ocean. I'm coming back on the Long Island Ferry, and we haven't taken off yet. I don't know if that's the right word to use on a boat. Disembarked, or that's getting off the boat. Shipped off. I don't know what it is. What's the proper thing to say when a ship takes off? I don't know if I know the right term. I guess I need to figure that out. Thank you, Eric. I appreciate that. So I wish you guys could see this again. Apparently there's some way where I could take pictures and show you my view. Set sail. There we go. That sounds good. I've got like the most beautiful view right now. My car is literally right on the front of this ferry. And I think I may have to get out of my car and walk to the edge of the ocean and do the Leonardo DiCaprio scene from Titanic. I'm the king of the world. I can feel it. I feel it coming, but I do see white caps. So that kind of makes me a little bit nervous that I might be in store for a bumpy ride. But it looks like I'm going to be the first person off the boat, which is kind of cool. Hey, Jeremy Cummings, good to see you, my friend. So anyway, to get back to International Women's Day. Now, I honestly, I like to joke about this, but the world is an amazing place. And it's an amazing place because of all of the amazing women that we have on this planet. And I am not one of those guys that's going to get on here and bash women. I love women. I've been very, very fortunate in my life to have some amazing women in my life, going back to my two grandmothers. On my father's side, I had a grandmother that was a hardworking immigrant. She worked in factories her whole life, never really had a lot of money, never really made a lot of money, but really always worked hard and did the best she could to be a good mother and a good grandmother, which she was. So that, she was an amazing person to just grow up knowing. And I always enjoyed seeing her because she was always good to me, was always proud of me, and she was just an amazing woman. Then on the other side of my family, we had my other grandmother, my Nana. That was my mother's mother. She was a business owner back in like the early 1900s. I mean, you think about a woman that was born in, I think it was 1910. So she'd be over 100 years old now, but she was born in 1910. She owned a chain of nursing homes, and she also owned an armored car business with my grandfather. I mean, back then, women really weren't working. So she was a pioneer ahead of her time and worked very hard throughout the course of her life and had a very difficult life where her husband and both of her children all came down with muscular dystrophy. That was my mother. That's what took her at the age of 67. But she lost her husband and both of her children to muscular dystrophy. Her son, my Uncle Jack, died at the age of 42. And my mother did fight hard, but she passed at the age of 67 from a horrible disease. So fast forwarding ahead, we had my mother, who died at the age of 67, had muscular dystrophy, but was a registered nurse and always worked hard. And even later in life, when she, had this disease and it was progressing and it was taking away her independence, I was very fortunate to see a woman that worked hard, that tried her best, and even tried to stay very positive when things in her life were very difficult. And just to let you know, we're starting to set sail. So we're moving, and I see a duck off to the left. I hope this giant ferry doesn't hit that duck. But, here we go. This is incredible. This view is beautiful. I'm loving this. So anyway, you fast forward past my mother, International Women's Day. I married a woman that has worked her ass off her entire life. She's a doctor. She's done all of it by herself. No one paid her way. She grew up in a family that was middle class, if not lower middle class, like I grew up in. And she grew up with a mother, my mother-in-law, who was an amazing woman who worked hard. We've got my sister, also another amazing woman. My daughter, another amazing woman. So for International Women's Day today, I want to take my hat off, even though I'm not wearing a hat, and thank all of the amazing, beautiful, strong women that all of us are blessed to know, including Jess Duck, who's in here right now. And I want to thank all of you for just being who you are. It really, the world is an amazing place, and we have so many amazing women to celebrate. Michelle Wu is not one of them, the mayor from Boston. I'll leave her off that list because I don't like her. AOC, the rest of the squad members, I'll leave them off the list as well. But we do have a lot of amazing women, and I just want to thank all of you for everything you do. Okay. So that being said, I am still waiting for International Men's Day. I do have my iPad open now, so I'm kind of looking at some news stories as to what's going on. So I guess the big news is Biden has announced a ban on Russian oil imports, and that should be a powerful blow to Putin. Now, I guess, though, my question is, what are we going to do moving forward to solve the issue with prices? Because I'll tell you right now, I was in Long Island for the last couple of days, and the prices in Long Island are over the top expensive. I drove by a place today, and home heating oil in Long Island, New York is over $5 a gallon. I think one place I saw was $5.50 a gallon. Now I'm not, and I'm sorry, I just saw Big Nipples Matter has joined, and that got me. So whoever you are, excellent name. I love it. Big Nipples Lives Matter. And I would agree with that. Since this is International Women's Day, I think we do have to pay homage to women with big nipples also. So well done. I agree. Nipples do matter. BLM. So I love that. So you're right, though. That's the thing I'm worried about. I'm glad we made this move here, banning the oil coming in from Russia. However, we can't just do that. We need to solve the problem by opening up the spigots here in America. We've got Texas. We've got Alaska. We can, get that Keystone oil pipeline going again and bring in oil from Canada. We have got to improve the oil that is coming into this country. We've got to start drilling in our own backyard. We've got to start providing for ourselves. And that's one of the things I think that Donald Trump understood, was that he knew we needed to bring a lot of things back to this country. And that's one thing that, in my opinion, has played into the decay of our culture over the last 10, 15, 20 years. And you could trace it far back as Bill Clinton, when he signed NAFTA. I mean, that is when we started shipping all of our jobs to China. We started importing more things than we were exporting. And we can't be a society that just imports everything and doesn't create anything. Because if you drive around this country, you can look at all of the different factories that have closed down all over the country. You can look at all the old businesses that used to manufacture things. And that's had such a profound effect on our society, because when you stop manufacturing things, number one, you're no longer self-sufficient. But number two, it also eliminates all of the jobs that came with those manufacturing jobs. I mean, when we're building things in this country, you're providing good middle-class jobs for a whole segment of the American population, and we've lost it. We've lost it. So that's the problem we've had. We do have now in this country, I think, an upper class. We have a decaying middle class, and then we've got a lot of people that are relying on government assistance. And I think that maybe if we can look at a silver lining as to everything that's happening right now, maybe the left is finally starting to realize that we can't be dependent on other countries for everything. So, who knows what's going to happen, but we need to start drilling here in the United States. Drill, baby, drill. And, Caps, I'm not talking to you, Mr. Nipples. I'm not talking to you about drilling, but we do need to start drilling more in this country. We need to provide our own oil. And someone needs to tell this woke squad, honestly, to just stop. I'm looking through the news stories. I got to scroll down to find this a little bit. But I saw this one earlier as I was looking through the news stories, and this one kind of annoyed me. Now, again, I'm going to click on this story. Squad member Ilhan Omar warns the U.S. that sending Ukraine weapons could be disastrous. So let me read this story really quickly. I'm going to go into talking about this a little bit. The Biden administration made it clear that the U.S. will not fight in Ukraine, opting instead to provide assistance in the forms of arms to the Ukrainians. But of course, woke squad member Rep. Ilhan Omar, she goes along with AC, Ayanna Pressley, and all the other women destroying this country right now. She's arguing that this is even too close. In a Twitter post on Tuesday morning, the Minnesota Congresswoman claimed that it would be difficult to know where American weapons might end up. Okay, well, how about the weapons that we left in Afghanistan? Let's talk about that. Let's talk about your puppet of a president, Joe Biden, who spends his weekends in Delaware getting his Depends changed in whatever nursing home he's staying in. Let's be real. The guy's not going on vacation in Delaware. He's in an assisted living facility having someone change the shit out of his diapers, on a weekend basis, because the man is sick. He's got dementia. He is not cognitively capable to run this country. But again, you got, Ilhan Omar coming out saying that we don't know where the weapons are going to end up. Well, think of the billions of dollars worth of tanks and weapons we left in Afghanistan. Those things probably would have come in handy in Ukraine, don't you think, you moron? So these people, I mean, how the hell did this woman get elected into Congress? The consequences of flooding Ukraine with billions of dollars in American weapons, likely not limited to just military-specific equipment, but also including small arms and ammo, are unpredictable and likely disastrous, especially when they are given to parliamentary groups without accountability. So that's what our Congresswoman from Minnesota said regarding sending weapons to help the people in Ukraine. Now, I don't know how you all feel about this. I'd like to hear some of your opinions. I'm looking back at the chat right now, and we've got a few people in here. If you could share my live, I would greatly appreciate it. If you're new here, please follow my show. But to the people that are in the chat right now, do you feel, number one, that we should be closing down the airspace over Ukraine? Number two, do you feel like the United States, along with NATO, should be sending troops in to Ukraine to help with the slaughter that's happening right now. And I guess number three would be, should we be sending weapons into Ukraine and or potentially offering assistance through airstrikes going into Ukraine? I mean, we've heard about the 40-mile caravan of tanks and different attack modules that have been moving through Ukraine at a very slow pace. But do you think we should be doing more to help the people of Ukraine? Or is the United States and NATO doing the right thing by keeping our noses out of it? I mean, I go back and forth on this. I mean, for me, when I sit down at night and I'm watching Fox News or CNN or NBC, if I want to watch some comedy, MSNBC, then I do see the attacks that are happening. I see that women and children and civilians are being targeted. They're being murdered. They're being injured. And it breaks my heart, honestly. It breaks my heart to see these families who are being attacked. Hey, Cubella, good to see you, my friend. It's nice to see your beautiful face in here. And now you missed it earlier, Cubella. I gave my props for International Women's Day. And Cubella is definitely one of those women that makes the world a brighter place, along with Jess Duck, of course, Dina Joe from the Old Man's Podcast. So happy International Women's Day to you, Cubella, a beautiful, intelligent woman who it's always a pleasure to have her on my show. So let's see. Big Nipples is saying, Cubella's nipples are bigger than mine. I hate to say it there, Caps, but I don't want to think about your nipples. Again, as I've said many, many times, everybody on my show is welcome, whether you're straight, whether you're gay. And, I've always said that I think it would be great if I could actually be gay, because then I wouldn't have to put up with some of the drama in my life I deal with. And if I could find someone that was roughly my size, I would double my wardrobe. But when I think about a man's nipples, literally my penis, I think, becomes inverted inside of my body. And it's just, I don't know, just doesn't do it for me. I guess if there was one guy, like I've said, it would be Ryan Reynolds. But even me, I don't think I could even get past that. So, it is what it is. So anyway, you know my ADD and how it works. You guys get me distracted, and that's what happens. Now, I don't know what the hell happened here. I'm still on the ferry, and I'm a little bit disappointed about how things have transpired here. And there goes one of my AirPods, just fell out of my ear. I hate these goddamn things. I don't know how people like these, so hopefully that doesn't cut off all sound. But I'm on the ferry, and I was pulled to the front of it. But apparently when we left the port of Port Jefferson, we spun around, and now I'm at the back of the boat. So how the hell did that happen? I thought I was going to be looking forward, and now I'm looking back at New York. So I'm not sure exactly what happened. But let's see. Eric Kirk says, the reason why NATO may not want to get involved in the Russia-Ukraine conflict is they're afraid of China attacking without warning. And then Big Nipple says Russia attacked them due to getting aid and weapons from the USA. And yeah, you're probably correct. You're probably correct with that. And Eric, I think you're correct as well. I do think that a lot of people in this world right now are afraid, and I can't blame them. I mean, it is scary to think about, the potential of going into a nuclear war. And as I said on my show yesterday, as a kid, I grew up. I mean, I grew up in the 70s, a long time ago. It was a different world. And there was a lot of concern about there being a nuclear war brought on by the Soviet Union. We would talk about it in school. That was something where, it was a grave concern of all citizens that it would happen. And this is really the first time in a very long time where people have really had to worry about this. But honestly, I don't think Vladimir Putin is going to do that. I don't think he's stupid enough to do that. I don't think Vladimir Putin really plans on launching a nuclear attack on anybody, because if he does, I mean, he's going to die. It's not going to go well for Russia if they do that. I mean, a nuclear attack is going to be something where if it does happen, the majority of us are going to be vaporized. I mean, this thing's going to be over quick. We're all going to be dead, and life as we know it will not go on. And I can't imagine that's going to happen. But I do think Vladimir Putin is trying to scare people into staying out of this conflict because he wants to take over Ukraine. He wants it back. But the thing that scares me is, we're kind of caught in a bit of a catch-22 right now, because if we do not get involved and the United States continues to show their weakness with Joe Biden doing nothing. I mean, thankfully, he finally decided to cut Russia off with oil. But by not taking any military action with NATO and the United States, it kind of gives Putin carte blanche to go on and continue to attack people. I mean, once he takes over Ukraine, which, I assume he probably will, I mean, you got to give it to the people of Ukraine. They are fighting like champions, like heroes. I mean, these people are brave. These people are fighting. these people are digging their heels in and giving it everything they have. But I mean, this is a true life Davy and Goliath. And 9 times out of 10, Davy's going to lose against Goliath. And unfortunately, I think that's probably what we're looking at here. So if we don't step up and start to, I guess, stand up against Russia, what's going to prevent them from continuing on after they take over Ukraine? Now, if all the Ukrainian citizens, and I think there's been close to 2 million so far, escape on to Poland and other countries, I mean, again, what's going to prevent Russia from going into Poland or going into some of these other nations and starting war there and taking over those countries? So I'm back on my page here. Let's see, NATO maybe just going to make Taiwan a sacrifice. If they join NATO, we're screwed. Yep, I agree. You're right. I mean, they do want to. Joe Manchin seems to be our only hope. I'm looking through some of the comments. Maverick, rumor is he's dying from some illness. If that is the case, all bets are off. And what he'll do, that's the truth. Right now, if Putin is at the end of his life and this is his attempt to, reestablish the Soviet Union, you're right. He could push that button and not give a damn. And if that's the case, God help us all. I mean, these are scary times. But I do think that a bully is going to continue to bully until you stand up to him. And, we're in a tough position. I'm glad I don't have to make the call. It's a difficult call to make. And unfortunately, right now in this country, we have an incompetent president that doesn't really know how to make the call or what type of the call. Or again, he's probably not even the guy making the call. So I don't know. Things are crazy. I'm sure like a lot of you, I've got money that is invested in the stock market. I'm getting my ass handed to me the last few days. So if my wife and I were ever hoping of retiring, we may have to put that on hold. If my kids wanted to go to college, we're going to start looking at community college because that's all we're going to be able to afford. And what worries me is if this war continues and the gas prices keep increasing and the price of things like wheat keep going up and commodities are going up, I mean, we're going to be in trouble with inflation. Now, it was funny. I was up really early this morning. I couldn't sleep because I had some asshole in my hotel. Now, I stayed at a Hilton hotel last night, and I stayed in the town of Riverside in New York before my work meeting today. And, I had some asshole last night that literally every 5 minutes was in and out of his room and slamming his door. He'd go in, he'd come back. He'd go in, he'd come back. Slam his door, slam his door. It went on until like 1 o'clock in the morning. And then finally, again, I think it stopped and it started up again at like 6 o'clock in the morning. But anyway, I was in my room early this morning watching the news because I couldn't fucking sleep because of that guy. And I was watching the story about, people now being interested in buying electric cars. So again, hey, don't get me wrong. I love Teslas. Teslas are sweet. If they weren't $100,000, I probably would buy one. Mr. A, welcome to the show. Good to see you. Yeah, they might have been hookers. I didn't even think of that. I should have knocked on that door and maybe, seen if I could have gotten like a $10 happy ending. Of course, with inflation now, it's probably up to like $100 and I can just do it myself for free. So there's no point in spending money. But, the one thing I was thinking about this earlier, this is a completely random comment. I wish when I got married, and, for the single guys out there, I wish I had found a woman that had little tiny doll hands. Now, this is going to be really, really random. And I was actually thinking about this before I got on the ferry. Now, if I had married a woman that had like little tiny doll hands, it would have made my penis look a lot bigger. Am I wrong? Right. So if I had a woman with tiny little hands, I mean, honestly, my average penis at best would have looked gigantic in her hands. So I think if I had to do it again, people look at women and they think, all right, I'm an ass man, I'm a boob man. I like a girl with nice lips, nice legs, whatever. No, not me. I'm a guy that wants a woman that has doll hands, so my penis looks really impressive, right? So, yeah, that's the thing, I mean, again, I've told people here on more than one occasion, Howard Stern used to talk about it all the time, that he was hung like a pimple. I'm a little bit bigger than a pimple, maybe like a wart. So I do talk about, 6'4", 255 pounds, whatever I am now. And, I should be bigger. But if I had a woman with doll hands, that would have solved the problem. Now I'm completely off my train of thought. Thank you very much. See, the ADD, you guys can't keep doing this to me. And I got to tell you, looking off the back of this boat right now, these waves are fucking big. I mean, I don't know if I'm going to get seasick. If I vomit on the air, that would be kind of funny. But these waves are pretty big. We're kind of going up and down. But going back to the point, I was in my room. There were hookers next door. I didn't go over and get anything, but I was watching the news early this morning, and they were talking about people wanting to go out and now buy electric cars and Tesla because of the high cost of gasoline and fuel. But the problem is, apparently, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I apologize. This is what they said on the news. Apparently, one of the main components of electric car batteries is nickel. And apparently, guess where one of the largest nickel producers in the world happens to be? Yes, you guessed it, Ukraine. So the Ukraine produces a huge amount of nickel in their country, and the price of nickel has now gone up 75% since the start of the war. So if Teslas weren't expensive enough before the war, now with the price of nickel going up 75% and Ukraine being one of the places in this country that exports a huge amount of nickel, I mean, who knows, right? Time to invest. Absolutely. I actually did that today. For the people that are terrified of the stock market today, I had a little bit of money on the side today. I dumped it into the stock market. So we'll see. Hopefully it wasn't a stupid move. It probably was. My tactic over the years in the stock market has always been to buy high and sell low, when I know that's not the way you should do it. It should be buy low and sell high, but that's why I'm not a millionaire and or a billionaire. So anyway, that's a lot of talking about what's going on in the world. It's just crazy shit that's going on. And my daughter put it best. My daughter, Caitlin, about a week ago, she was joking with me, and she goes, Dad, I'm young. I'm 16 years old. We just had a 2-year pandemic. Couldn't we have gotten just a few months off before the next world tragedy began, being the war in Russia and Ukraine, or World War III, or whatever it may be? I mean, honest to God, it just keeps coming, right? It just keeps coming. And I mean, the thing that really, I think, might put me over the edge, I talked about this briefly yesterday. You all know me. I'm a huge baseball fan. My favorite sport. I could go to baseball games every night. And I'm just seeing some of the comments and you guys make me laugh. But so anyway, baseball, again, could Major League Baseball, the owners and the players, be any more fucking greedy? I mean, how many people in this chat, how many people that listen to this podcast afterwards on download or listening now live would love to make $20 million a year to play baseball, $30 million a year to play baseball, $1 million a year to play baseball? I mean, these owners and these players are pampered, spoiled brats that are wealthy beyond most people's wildest imagination. And they've gotten that money by playing a sport that most people would play for free. I love baseball. I go to games. I go to probably 100 games a year. My two youngest play travel baseball. We go to 100 games just for the two of them together. We go to AAA baseball games. I mean, I could go, like I said, to baseball every night. But, when will there be a tipping point where people finally say, you know what, fuck the major leagues? I know a lot of people have already done it, because if you get outside of places like Boston, Chicago, New York, maybe Los Angeles, some of the places where baseball is still considered big, if you go into places like, you get the Tampa Bay Rays, they were in first place last year going into the playoffs, and they had like 6,000 fans in their stadium. And I think you see that in a lot of different places where people have become tired of these pampered fools. And you get people even like the NBA, LeBron James. Can't stand the guy. He may be a great basketball player, but when he comes out and makes comments like, I want nothing to do with white people, and then people defend him. I mean, who the hell does he think he is? I mean, I've brought that comment up a couple of times that he made, where he came out and said he wanted nothing to do with white people. And people have said, well, it's a free country. You can say what you want, blah, 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 blah. You're right. It is a free country. And I do believe in freedom of speech. But can you imagine if Tom Brady came out and said, I want nothing to do with black people? Could you imagine the uproar that you would hear on TV stations, news stations, radio networks? It would be everywhere. I mean, that's not something a white person could ever say or should ever say. But again, when you have a black man coming out saying the same thing, I mean, how am I supposed to like him? How am I supposed to look up to him? And do I want him to be a role model for my children? And honestly, the color of his skin has nothing to do with it. I mean, there are a lot of amazing black men, black women, Hispanic men, Hispanic women, whatever, people of color that are amazing people that my children should look up to, regardless of the color of their skin. But when you get a guy like that coming out and you got these other pampered athletes who are making tens of millions of dollars, let me ask all of you in here. I don't know how many baseball fans we have. He's just a lanky twat. I agree. He is a lanky twat. I agree completely. But how many people in here are baseball fans? And how many people right now are basically coming to the point where they may be done with baseball because of this? I mean, I won't stop watching, but I may stop watching Major League Baseball. I mean, I'm at a point now where I can go to high school games, I can go to Legion games, I can go to, minor league games, different things, and I don't have to go to Major League games. Now, I'm thinking last year, I like to try to bring my kids, if I could, to like one baseball game a year. So, and that's a major baseball game. So last year, we went to one Red Sox game. Now, do you guys have any idea how much it costs to go to a Red Sox game? Now, I know not all of you are from the Boston area, and in some stadiums, they don't sell out. But at Fenway Park, they sell out literally every game, every year. And you generally have to scalp tickets if you don't buy tickets at the beginning of the season. Now, I think it was all four of my children, and I can't remember if my wife came or not. She might not have. But if I'm going to bring all six of my family members to one baseball game at Fenway Park, just one, you drive to the park, okay, you get there, and it is a minimum of $50 to park anywhere near the stadium. They have parking lots all over, and it's roughly $50, sometimes depending on the game, if it's a playoff game, up to $100 to park your car. Do you like that? Park your car. It's like $100, $50 to $100 to park your car in a garage near the stadium. Then to get in the stadium, if you want seats where you can actually see the players and see the ballpark, you are looking at probably roughly, I would say, on the low end, $100 up to $200 per seat. So if you decide to buy any food, even for a dog and a drink, you're looking at another $100. And so if you look at what it would cost me, it would cost me somewhere in the ballpark of $1,000 to $1,500 to attend one Major League Baseball game at Fenway Park. It's crazy, right? And I see the comment, fuck that, it's crazy. And again, my wife and I make a decent living, and we can't do it. It's too much money. For us, we go to like a AAA minor league game, the Worcester Red Sox, which is the AAA affiliate of the Boston Red Sox, located 20 minutes from my house. You go there, the parking's free. Maybe you pay $5 to park. You can buy standing room only seats for $9 and get a seat in the park anywhere. So you can go to a AAA game and spend maybe $75 to $100 and see AAA quality baseball and see guys that have either already played in the major leagues or are very close to playing in the major leagues. And the kids don't give a damn. They love it just as much. To them, they enjoy every minute of it. And sorry, I'm laughing a little bit. My GPS is still on. It's just opened on my phone. And when I looked at it, it showed my car out in the middle of the ocean on the ferry. So that's just kind of cracking me up a little bit. So anyway, let's see. Yeah, that's the thing. The prices are a lot better in a minor league game, but there's so many options out there for baseball. So, hey, for all you out there, what's going on, in your lives? Hopefully everyone's doing well. This whole thing in Russia, in Ukraine, is this, how are you all feeling about it? Is everybody anxious? Are you not upset? Are you not caring? Do you feel like this is going to be over sooner than later? I'm just kind of wondering how all you are feeling about what's happening. So I see Jess Duck saying it's affordable to see a baseball game here, but football is ridiculous. Yeah, we have the same thing here. The football games are very expensive. Now, Jess Duck, if I remember correctly, are you in Colorado? Are you Denver area, if I remember right? I have a terrible memory. That's what I thought. I've actually been to a game at Coors Field. My buddy Mike, I think I told you about him. He's the morning drive sports guy in Denver. My best friend. He was my best man in my wedding. I was his best man, and I was actually very proud of him. My good friend Mike, who I've grown up with since preschool, is originally from New Hampshire, and he ended up moving to Boston, doing some radio in Boston for a while, and then his station went under, so he moved to Texas for a couple of years, worked there for a network, and ended up getting hired at KFAN out in Denver. And he's now the morning drive guy. He's been there for many years now. He sent me a text the other day He's on with a ex-professional football player. It's Evans and I don't even know how to say the guy's name, Sheelerth or something. But his show is ranked the number 7 morning show in the whole country. So that's my buddy Mike, who I've been friends with ever. He's a great guy. I've never met a guy that loves sports more than he does. He's a fantastic sportscaster, great guy, and very, very proud of my friend that he's done so well. And he sent that text out to all of us, showing that he was the number 7 morning drive show in all of Denver. So if you get a chance, Jess, make sure you listen to my buddy Mike Evans on the air out there, and definitely mention my name if you ever text or call in. You'll get the VIP treatment, or it could be, I don't know, you might hear some stories about me on the air, because he does talk about, if you ever listen to his show, he talks about his friends from New Hampshire a lot and talks about our guys' weekend up in Maine. So he'll talk about that a lot on the air, and that's I'm one of those guys that he likes to talk about. So I see Ronti has joined. And let's see, I'm looking through news stories here. Oh, I just saw this here. This is kind of interesting. There's a story about Mila Kunis, the actor. Apparently, her family fled the Soviet Union when she was 7 years old, and I'm sure you all know who she is. She's amazing, a beautiful woman, amazing actress. And I didn't realize she was actually born in the Soviet Union and actually fled when she was 7 years old. So that's pretty amazing. Wow, I'm looking at this. There's a story here also about the gas prices right now in California. They are approaching $7 a gallon in California. $7 a gallon. How can anyone afford that? I mean, I have an SUV with a 25 gallon tank. And I mean, again, it's $7 a gallon. What is that, $150 to fill my tank? I mean, no one can afford that. So that's just crazy stuff that's going on. So Mila Kunis is Ukrainian. I did not realize that. Man, she is beautiful. I've talked on the air a few times about some of the hall passes I would probably request from my wife. One would definitely be Scarlett Johansson. She's right at the top of my list. Blake Lively would be another one. She definitely makes my hall pass list. Jessica Chastain would be another one on my hall pass list. I would say Mila Kunis would be on my hall pass list. And I see Ronti is talking. Oh, he's just saying hello to big nipples. I thought you were saying that Mila Kunis has big nipples, and she might. And again, on International Women's Day, we have to pay homage and pay respect to all women, not just the women with big nipples, women with medium-sized nipples, women with small nipples, women with inverted nipples. We have to pay homage and pay respect to women with nipples. And I guess men with nipples also. I mean, again, in this society today, I don't want to be someone that is, someone's going to call me racist. They're going to call me misogynist. So I guess if I'm going to talk about a woman's nipples, I have to talk about men's nipples. The problem with men's nipples is they're generally hairy, and I prefer my nipples to be non-hairy. And I can't believe I'm even talking about this. See what you guys do to me? You bring out the worst in me, and I end up talking about these weird topics, and I blame it on each and every one of you. That's what happens when I have my wankers here in the studio. So I'm still here on the Long Island Ferry. For everybody that's just tuning in, I am on a boat right now. I'm 38 minutes into my show, and I kind of got screwed getting onto the ferry. And we're going in a pretty good clip, I will say. I mean, we're cruising along. I pulled onto this ferry, and I was right in the front when I pulled on, and I had a nice view of where we were going. But then when we pulled out of port, they flipped the ferry around, and now I'm in the back. I'm looking out the back, and I got to say, the waves have to be, I don't know, I'm guessing like 5 feet high, 6 feet high, and they're big. And this ferry is going up and down and back and forth. And I got to say, I'm feeling a little bit queasy. I've never gotten seasick before, but it'd be kind of a funny video to see me throwing up in the front seat of my car on my iPad as I'm trying to do a podcast. Hopefully that doesn't happen. But I see a comment here about Joe Biden's poll numbers are sinking. No way. Now, Fox News has a new poll out showing Biden's popularity or lack thereof, his popularity. Now, do you guys believe this? I mean, they're saying that Biden still has a 37% approval rating. I mean, 37%? Who the hell are these people? Are there any seamen there? There are no seamen, but I do have some semen. So I don't see any seamen, but I do have some semen. So I think we may be talking about the different thing. Seagulls. I don't see any seagulls. Well, actually, no, I do. Right in front of me, there's a seagull. He's kind of floating behind the boat, probably waiting for me to vomit so he can come in and clean up for me. So hopefully we don't end up having to jump off the ship, because I don't see any lifeboats, and I see one orange little donut thing off to the left. And I'll tell you one thing: it's a life buoy, I guess it's called. Of course, if I feel like we're going down, I'll fight for that life buoy. Of course, getting into the water right now, it's probably about 50 degrees. I'll probably freeze to death anyway. So maybe I don't want the life buoy. Hopefully that doesn't happen. But getting back to this story here, I'm looking at Fox News is saying that Biden's approval ratings, as energy costs show that bad policies can affect real life implications. They say that his overall approval is 37%. His approval rate on how he handled Ukraine and Russia is 33%, and the approval on the economy is 37%. How the hell is it that high? Honestly, how are his approval numbers that high? I mean, who are the people that approve of him? I mean, I can't even talk to anybody. I mentioned this to my wife the other night. She voted for Biden, and she regrets it. She was saying to me the other night before I went to New York that she wishes Trump was president. I mean, it can't be that high. I mean, I see Maverick making the comment. It can't be. There's no way in hell this man still has an approval rating up near 40. There's no way. So let's see. Jess Duck. Oh, yes. Jess Duck. You'll be like the cars that sank in the Atlantic. Did you guys see that story? Oh, my God. There was a guy that lives in Massachusetts that had a car on that ship. And apparently that giant ship, I can't even remember how many cars were on it, but there were a lot. And they were all like high-end cars, like Rolls Royces, Bentleys, Lamborghinis, custom cars come over from Europe, all collectible vehicles. This thing caught on fire and sunk down to the bottom of the ocean. And one of the biggest car dealers in the Boston area is a guy by the name of Ernie Boch, B-O-C-H. He's got car dealerships everywhere. He ended up inheriting the car dealership from his father. And he's kind of a unique guy. Ernie Boch owns all these car dealerships. But the guy obviously wanted to be a rock star. He's now got like long hair, and he actually has a band, a rock band, and they're actually pretty good. So Ernie Boch, the big car magnate, is also like a rock guy, and so he does rock concerts around the area. But he had one of those luxury vehicles on that ship, and the ship went down. So kind of crazy to think of all the money that went down on that thing, and you have to wonder, was it intentional? Was it intentional? What was there insurance on that ship? I'm sure there probably was, right? So I see Ronti saying, don't think about gas and petro. Buy a cycle. All right, Ronti, so you're talking about a cycle now. You know, we may be talking about different things now. When you say a cycle, are you talking like a motorcycle, a motor-powered vehicle, or are you talking like a bicycle, something that somebody would ride and push the pedals themselves? Because, you know, I'm all for that. A moped. Yeah, mopeds are cool. You know, mopeds, though, when I think about a moped kind of reminds me of a fat chick, if you know what I mean, back in my single days. Mopeds are a lot of fun to ride. You just don't want to see your friends see you riding one. Am I wrong? So a moped, you ride it around. It's fun to ride on. But if your buddies see you ride the moped, you know, you're kind of a little bit embarrassed. So it's kind of like the whole correlation between mopeds and fat chicks. They're fun to ride, but you just don't want your friends to see you ride them. You know, so I know that on International Women's Days, I'm going to start getting called misogynist and everything else. But, you know, I guess I shouldn't be talking about fat people since I just lost almost 70 pounds now. I was a fat guy, and I had a problem the other day when I was leaving for New York. I literally went into my closet, and I could only find one pair of pants to fit me. So I'm no longer a fat guy, which is good. So thank you. I appreciate that. You know, seriously, I mean, I had one pair of pants that fit me. So I literally have to throw out almost everything in my closet and buy all new clothes. Now, hopefully I can keep the momentum going, because for me at my age, this isn't about vanity anymore. I mean, you know, it's nice to look good. And, you know, but for me, I was unhealthy. I got to a weight that I had never been to in my life, and I was depressed. My health wasn't good. You know, my blood pressure was in a dangerous area, and I've noticed some other benefits of losing the weight. Now, I've talked about this before. As you all know, I am 54 years old, so I'm advancing in my age a little bit. Of course, though, you know, I'm 54 years old on a calendar, but I would say my emotional level is probably about the level of a 14-year-old. So that's the one thing. So let's see. Big Nipples is saying, talking about fat chicks and hair dryer scooters. Yes. Okay. I agree. You still identify as a fat bastard. Well, I still do too. Trust me. Even though I've lost 70 pounds, when I step on the scale, it's still pretty offensive. I still have a ways to go. My goal is I really need to lose at least another 30 pounds. So I'm going to hopefully get there. So I'm still fat. I'm just less fat than I was. But it's hard. But I'll tell you, the way I did it, for anybody that's interested in trying, I use an app called MyFitnessPal, and I haven't exercised much. It's been all diet. So I've been trying to stay in the ballpark of 1,600 calories a day. And the app, MyFitnessPal, is completely free. You log on, and no matter where you eat, if you go to McDonald's, which I haven't been going to, or you go anywhere, any fast food restaurant, any restaurant, every single thing you could possibly order is already entered into their database. So if I go to Dunkin' Donuts and I have a plain bagel with cream cheese and a large, extra large coffee with cream and forced Splenda, you click that in the database, it pops up, and you add your calories to the database. So it monitors my calories every day, and that's how I've been able to lose the weight so far. So now, that the weight is coming off, hopefully I can keep it off, because that's always a challenge. You lose weight, and then all of a sudden you end up getting fat again shortly afterwards. It really is, Jess. I mean, to me, it's been very helpful. I really do enjoy the app. It feels good to be more healthy. It really does. So, and the other benefit to the older guys out there, now, as you get older, if you think back when you were 18, 19, 20 years old, every time the wind blows, your little friend who lives south of the border tends to stand up and take attention. As you get a little bit older, that little fella down below the border doesn't maybe stand up as frequently as he used to. And when he does stand up, he may not stand up as quickly and may not stand up as straight as he used to, if you know where I'm going with that, right? I will say that since I have dropped the weight, I was getting the assistance of some little blue vitamins that some middle-aged men may take to make that little friend stand up a little bit quicker and stand up for a little bit longer. But I have noticed that my morning visitor has been coming back to visit a lot more frequently since I've dropped all the weight. So I know that I'm happy about it. I'm not sure if my wife is, because I think she kind of likes the hands-off policy. She's put in 22 years with me already and has got 4 kids. And I think at this point she's kind of enjoying the sleep. But I got bad news for you on International Women's Day, baby. I'm back. I am back. My friend below the border is back, and you need to be prepared for that. So, oh, yeah, here we go. This is what happens when you ride a ferry. So, for all the people that have been coming on my show, I really appreciate all of you. I've said this to all of you time and time again. I haven't been in too much the last few weeks. 2 weeks ago, I took a nice trip to Florida with my family. And honestly, Mike from Tampa Bay, my other friends who live in Florida, I wish I could live in Florida. I mean, I know I could, but we have so many ties up here. My kids are in school. They have friends. But I can tell you it's only a matter of time before we get some small little place in Florida. We spend the winters down there, and then maybe we sell our house where we live in Massachusetts and move to northern New Hampshire or northern Maine for the summers. D-Mac, welcome to the show. It's good to see you. Say hello to Jose for all the women. It's funny, Jose. I don't think I have a name for my friend who lives south of the border. Of course, Jose, being south of the border, is not a bad name for him. I may have to come up with a name for my friend south of the border. Tiny is not a good one. I'm taking that one off the table right away. I don't want to hear anything like that. It's got to be something that promotes me in a good way. Paquito. That's a good one. How about just wanker? I can't do that because you guys are all my wankers. Do I have my little buddy? That is a good one. I do like my little buddy. I'm kind of a fan of Gilligan's Island. Hey, Hasselhoff, what's up, brother? Good to see you. Got some people pouring in. Goose, my man. Goose, without a doubt, is one of my favorite guys on Podbean. He is the man. He tells it like it is. Great show that they're on with Maverick as well, and whoever the fuck else is on that show, Slacker 82. I'm not quite, on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm not quite a 10 on the dementia scale like Joe Biden is. I'm probably like a 1 or a 2, but I think I do have some memory loss that has to do probably with the 11 years of me playing American football, getting hit in the head probably 25,000 times and having God knows how many concussions over the years. But yeah, Maverick, no doubt about it, man. Florida, going down there were no masks. No one was following the crap that was going on. But the problem is with Florida now is I wish I could go back for a week like the 2008 after the Great Recession when the housing market collapsed. They were giving houses away like candy in Florida back then. You could get a house for like nothing back in the day. So my wife and I, we were looking at houses on Zillow, and you can put in, I don't know if you go on Zillow at all, a real estate app, but you can put in like cities. You can put in, North Fort Myers. You can put in Tampa, Siesta Key, where we happen to spend the day at the beach. which was amazing. I mean, honestly, Florida has become the new California when it comes to home prices. I mean, Massachusetts has very high home prices. Florida is more expensive than Massachusetts now. If you want a house anywhere near the beach, you are looking, if not over $1 million, close to it, with some of the houses being 2 million, 3 million, 4 million. If you want to go inland a little bit, you can still find a house for maybe 500,000, 600,000. But I mean, those houses, you could have bought those, 10 years ago for 100,000. So the prices in Florida have just skyrocketed. And oh man, I'll tell you. But I imagine that as we're seeing right now, we're having trouble with the economy again because of the war and because of our incompetent president, because of inflation. The real estate market is going to collapse again. So if you're a person that doesn't have a home, be smarter than I was the last time around. Be smarter than I am now. If you have money on the side that's not in the stock market, keep that money on the side. Have some money on the side, because when things do crash again, cash will be king, because the banks stop lending out money. And if you have cash in your hands, you can buy property for pennies on the dollar back, when that happens again. So I'm looking around here a little bit. I'm still on the ferry. This time I decided to stay in my car. The last time I broadcast from the ferry, it was Monday, yesterday. It seems like it was like 2 weeks ago. I was up on the top deck, and it was kind of cold. It was actually nice at the beginning, but then it got cold. Today it's in the 30s, so it's quite a bit colder. So I stayed in my car today and figured I would do my show here. Let's see. So that's how you keep the crap out of the state. Absolutely. And we had a great time. I mean, Florida to me is just beautiful. I love it. I've never been there in the summer, so I can't say how miserable it is in the summertime. But, I was there for a week. It was between 85 and 90 every day. I love warm weather. It doesn't bother me. If you get me up around 95, that's when I start not liking the heat. But, even up around 90, I'm good with that. We spent a little bit of time in Fort Myers, North Fort Myers, went up to Siesta Key. Then we went up to Orlando, did a couple of days at SeaWorld, and went down to Busch Gardens. And then we went to Clearwater. Now, Clearwater, before we went to the airport, we went and checked out Clearwater. And one of the reasons why I wanted to go is, number one, I wanted to see the beach, and the beach was beautiful. But I also wanted to see the Scientology building, because I watched that whole series on TV with Leah Remini exposing Scientology. So I literally, when we got to Clearwater, we found the building. It's a giant building. And apparently Scientology owns most of Clearwater. So we got there, and I wanted to go into the building and ask them if I could sign up for Scientology. I was going to ask if I could speak to Tom Cruise or John Travolta, and I was going to ask them if they had an application so I could fill it out for Scientology. But I have to admit, when I got there, my wife was yelling at me, telling me not to do it. She knows me too well. But when I got there, I have to admit, it kind of freaked me out. A lot of the Scientologists were outside, and they were like walking around in their suits and stuff. And I got to admit, it freaked me out a little bit to see them like in person. So I don't know, man. I could just see myself getting caught up, and I'd be in the Sea Org and that cult, and next thing I know, my family and my wife would never hear from me again. So I did avoid doing that. So unfortunately, it looks like I'm in about 52 minutes, and I see people around me getting into their cars. So that means we're almost back in port. So hopefully these shows, me being on the phone, are okay for everybody. I'm used to being at my desk doing them on my microphone. But as I'm back to work more and traveling more, I think the one way I'm going to be able to continue to do my show is just doing it at random times when I have time during my daily schedule. So for all of you out there, I hope you enjoyed the show today. No music at the end. I'm not going to go to Eric today, but I want to get across to you. I do appreciate all of you. For the people that are in here that do podcasts, I'm sorry that I haven't been in your podcast a lot lately. I'm going to try to get into some more of the podcasts coming up soon. I like to come in and just listen to other podcasts and listen to all of your shows. So for me, I appreciate all of you. Hopefully things get better in this world. And if you can, turn off the news a little bit. Watching Russia and Ukraine all day long isn't healthy. Worrying about the gas prices, worrying about COVID. They've created like a society where we're all anxious all the time. So take a chance to get out, go for a walk, go see a movie, take some time off. And let's see, I see Eric Kirk saying, hey, this is Eric Green. Hey, Eric, how you doing? Good to see you. So I see Eric saying, I saw where you noticed the guy on Twitter who shared his vaccine injury story. Yes, there have been a lot of those out there as well. And I was happy to see that Florida is now making the recommendation that children do not get the vaccine if they're healthy, because there's no point. And I guess, there's one more thing I want to say about COVID-19 and the vaccine and all that shit. But, You all know that come fall and winter, they're bringing it back. COVID's not done. It's not done. I mean, Fauci's on Epstein's Island on vacation right now, wherever the fuck he is. They need to put his picture on a milk carton. We haven't seen the guy at all. He's been kind of banished to the island of whatever, island of Epstein, I guess, because you know Epstein's not dead. They just moved him somewhere else, so all the perverts would have someplace to go. But Fauci's gone. But, you know, they're going to bring COVID back. When they do, we all need to stand up and say enough's enough with this bullshit. We cannot allow them to ram these friggin' mask mandates and vaccine mandates down our throats again. So hopefully we all stand up and do the right thing. So for everybody out there, take a break from the media today. Get away from the news. I know it's depressing. Things will get better. I love you all. Fuck Joe Biden, too. I agree completely. He's a piece of shit. And he's just, you know what? Biden, you like to fucking blame him for his dementia, but he was an asshole before he had dementia. His whole career, he's been a racist. He's been a waste of space. He's gotten rich off being in political office, and he's a piece of shit. There's no doubt about it. And that's why we need term limits, so people like him can't come in and destroy our country like they're doing right now. So him, all the members of the woke squad, fuck them too. AOC, fucking Nancy Pelosi, Michelle Wu in Boston, Presley, Ilhan Omar, all of them. Fuck all of them. So for all the women out there, happy International Women's Day. But for you woke assholes, fuck you. I don't wish you happy Women's International Day. All right, everybody, I got to get off. I'm going to be disembarking this boat soon. So I love you all, and thank you for tuning into the John DeVito Show. Everybody have a great day, okay? Take